already have a real legend joining us today. Super excited. I got to work a little bit with the Hypefury team, just organizing with. They're a pleasure to work with. I've used Hypefury in the past. I've fallen off, and I'm excited to get back into it after I see this value-packed presentation. And yeah, I'll let you go. You just jump in and introduce yourself and teach us some incredible things.
Cool. Thank you, Alec. Yeah, so my name is Yannick. I am the co-founder of Hypefury. You can't really call us a startup anymore. We're like 5 years old. We're like an old business already. Today, I'm going to talk about like content creation and in the changing world, so to speak. I think past 4 weeks have been very interesting, not just on the political front, but I think also for creators, what's been happening with TikTok and stuff like that. So I just want to take you through what our vision is, Hypefury, and how you can benefit from actually what's happening instead of being a lame duck and having things done to you. Yeah, so maybe hands up, who had shit with the Twitter algo? Who's been hit for, I don't know, the last couple of weeks or months, who's seen his or hers impressions drop, maybe shadow ban, maybe even ban completely. Interesting to see. I don't know. Okay, deleted Twitter. Yeah, and I guess a lot of people might have moved away from Twitter because of Elon. Maybe a lot of people moved towards Twitter because of Elon, but there's definitely a lot of movement there. I think same with Instagram a couple of weeks ago. Algorithm change, and we saw a lot of people just not have any more impressions, just that their business literally changed in just a few days. Same with TikTok. What we're seeing is that after the TikTok ban and it came back, like the algorithm is not the same. We've also seen it on our channel. So basically a lot of stuff is happening and we want to see what we can do about that. And also still interested to see who had trouble with any other algorithm like TikTok or Instagram. Just pop it in the comments. Can you please make the presentation bigger? I don't know if I can. I can close this. Does this help a little bit?
Yeah, no,
hopefully.
Better.
Cool. That helps. All right. So one algorithm or personally change away from losing everything. And what we see is like most people, like they have one platform, post a lot of stuff there, but really they ignore the rest. And basically what we've seen over at least the last 4 weeks, but basically for a few years now, that it's really a game is more about like distribution versus loyalty to one platform, because a lot of people have moved to Blue Sky. I think like I have about 30,000 followers on X. They're not really there anymore. So there's a lot of movement between platforms. And if you're not on multiple platforms, like one day you'll see that you don't have a content business left. So more platforms means more leverage. It's probably hard to just, if you copy and paste something from Twitter to LinkedIn, will that really work? Probably not. So what should you do? What should you do to not just be there, but like really make sure that the content you're putting out there is interesting and it gets picked up by the platforms, the algos, stuff like that. Beginner level, you could say, just if you have some content, make sure you cross-post it to different platforms. And that's pretty easy. Like a lot of tools can help you do that. You can literally copy and paste and use the native schedulers even, or use tools like Hypefury to help you do that. That's not really a big thing. But the power is really in looking at what are the angles of every platform. And I'll go through all the platforms, all the major ones, and tell you a little bit about what's working right now on the different platforms. So most of you, like I saw a couple of people who had 200,000 followers. Those might have a genuine business, have maybe an entire team who can help them. But I think most people, like probably below 10,000 followers, like they have to do everything themselves. They might have a little bit of an agency here and there that can help them with a couple of things with content creation. It's expensive. Yeah, it needs to pay for itself. And not everybody has that kind of cash to invest into content creation. So how do you do this without having a team of 5 and spending a lot of money on that? Here are the ground rules. Like I would say pick 3 platforms, just 3. And usually what you would do is either take like Twitter, LinkedIn, and then Blue Sky or Threads, because those are more so text-based, or you grab something like Instagram and TikTok because they're more, so it's a better overlap. If you're into video content, then it's easier to post that on those platforms. Optimize your bio, and we'll go through that a little bit deeper in a little bit. know the game. I'll tell you a little bit about the game in a second as well. And then what you can do is everybody has an affinity, I think, with one or the other platform. I think a lot of people left X and might have gone to Instagram with the Threads or the Blue Sky. But there's always something like you love either more text-based stuff or more video-based stuff or more images. So you have to find like your affinity, like what do I enjoy most, and make sure that this is a thing that you can't stop this. So you can't just create a bit of content today and then expect it to still do something for you next year. You really have to enjoy yourself. So it's important that you get energy out of what you're doing. And I think what you also see is that there are different call to actions on different platforms that will help you get newsletter subscribers and stuff like that. We'll go through it. This is the content that works right now on X. I don't know how many people are still on X. I saw a couple, maybe hands up if you are still on X. It helps me to see who's in the room. Basically, what works right now on X is threads like this from James saying, hey, talk about Hamilton, got an image there, which is really in the face, you immediately know this is going to be about Formula One, Hamilton, whatever. And then the rest of the thread is usually what works is video based. And the thing that people need to understand on X is that they don't look at just how many likes a post get, but they look at what's the time on site, the time on post. So if you can get people to consume your post for a longer time, that will actually tell the algo like, hey, we need to show this post more to other people because people stay longer when they see this post. And if you stay longer, they can show you more ads. It's a win. The other thing that works, but what works a lot better if you do it in communities, is these types of posts, questions that are about the community you're in. So this is a build in public community here. Ask a question like, hey, just launched a product, no likes, nothing. What's your next move? It's very on point for that community. People will respond and you'll get quite a bit of engagement there. And lastly, what we see working is like before you had a simple image that didn't really say much, but what we've now been seeing is that if you create an image that takes a little while to digest. And so this could also be like a spreadsheet where you explain something or like a story that people can read through. So people will click on the image, which is an engagement. Then people will actually read the entire conversation here. And that sends signal to the algo saying, hey, this is a great post. Show this to more people. So that's a little bit about how things work on X. I don't know if anybody has any on and off X. Yes, X. 7 figures. Just reading the comments here. What's happening? Cool. Some people on X. Okay, cool. Quite a few. All right. Let's continue. So the examples I just gave were mostly for person, not really business. This is more business examples. I think what a lot of people still want is they want an easy way to start a business. I think most people here, they either already have a business or are very close to getting a meaningful business. They're building their email subscriber list. They're getting out there. I'm assuming that like people in here, they at least either they want to start a business or they already have. But there's like a huge opportunity out there. Every day people will join X or whatever and think, I want to make money online. Help me do that. And then the people will start following usual suspects, Jose Rosado, Dan Coe, whoever, Alex Omozi. And what they expect to see is, hey, I just want a quick route to making money. And the thing that still works is RDM campaigns. You show something like, hey, I can get you deals for 5K over DMs. I'll tell you how it works. The only thing you need to do is, hey, you can reply, DM, and I'll send it to you. And the rest of the examples are a little bit the same. Hey, did this. This was the result. And if you want to learn more, reply, and I'll send it to you. Still works very well. LinkedIn content is a little bit different. It's more so story-based. So here are Cody and Harka sharing stories of what they've done. And I've seen, probably everybody knows, like the crying CEO picture that was a little bit overdone, but telling people a story that ties into what you're up to definitely still works on LinkedIn. You could add an image to it, but that doesn't even need to be there. I think now in the last 4 to 8 weeks, LinkedIn has introduced video. We haven't experimented a lot with it yet, but you do see on every platform more and more more and more interest in video. So I would definitely, if you can, I would definitely try and test some video content there as well. If you look at the business side of things, if you have a business, then it's always interesting to say, I did something and I'm going to share it through a carousel. I'm going to show you how I create SB Ventures. This is how I did it. Giving people like a step-by-step list on how to create content. It's basically like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Tell people how to create content by creating content. On it's mostly what we see work very well is carousels as well. How to get ahead of 99% of people in 3 months. Who doesn't want to know? So you click, it's an engagement, Instagram sees it and will push your content. And so within 1 or 2 seconds, you should be able to pull somebody towards your content and think, hey, I want to know more. People start clicking and you can suck them into your content. Yeah, for business, like everybody's, again, interested in money. I want my $500 content creation system for free. People have to comment, profit, and Jose will DM it to you. And probably it's in the next slide. But what's interesting to see is, it's in the next slide. TikTok content. We've tried quite a bit of content there, and it's very easy to create video content. It's really hard to nail it. And so on the left side, it's really the coloring. It's nailed. So you think this is finished. This is slick. On the right side, it's blurry. It's, I don't know. You don't think it has a lot of value. But the funny thing is that quickly shot videos of something funny usually works better than just something really slick. And we've seen that a lot on TikTok work. Yeah, TikTok business. What we're testing now is a lot of B-rolls like, I have something happened. You show your face, say, oh man, something amazing happened. And then the content will pull people in. So you quickly need to read something. Then you'll show a secondary image inviting people to go to your profile to download something. So something really quickly, 10-second video, pull people in and get them to go to your profile and download something. I spoke about the bio before, and this is an interesting case. This is the same person, but she presents herself differently on every platform. And so when you look at your bio and you look at who you want to attract, but also who is on that platform, you need to think about, okay, who is here? How do I want to show myself? And what do I want to tell about myself so I can get more leads, more business out of this? And so I think this is a great example of the same person. Like I have a little bit of a different bio per social channel, but Shreya really nailed it. As in more formal here on LinkedIn. This is more Insta-wise. She really nailed it. And I think a lot of people can go through this. This takes an hour or two maybe to really nail once, and then you'll reap the benefit for quite a long time. Everybody thinks, Instagram and TikTok, and this is hard to create all the content on all those different platforms. We'll make it a little bit easier for you, and if you stay until the end, you'll be able to download it immediately. We created a 2,500 word ChatGPT prompt that will create all the content for you. You literally need to fill in a couple of lines, and you'll be able to get all the content you want to schedule out for days with minimum work. This is probably the hardest thing about content creation, like how. Okay, great, Yannick, that you're talking about creating all these videos and stuff on LinkedIn, but like how? So we're getting to the good part right now. So we can help you by literally filling in a prompt and you'll get a lot of good content. And don't get me wrong, like I don't use ChatGPT a lot for content creation. It's like a good baseline, but you should still put in your own little twist. Everybody's unique. You have unique experiences in life. So use that to make better content than, what you're getting from ChatGPT. But this will help you go 99% of the way and just add a little bit of yourself there. And that will definitely help out. Yeah, this is like a little bit of a grid to say in my job or how I make money is as a video editor, or I have a service business, or I'm a marketer. It just helps a little bit. And maybe I don't want to talk too long about this, but if you download the deck, you can look at this again and see, okay, these platforms might be interesting to me. If I do this, those platforms might not. So a little bit more about what works on what platform, short form tweets or long form stories, how-to steps. Like people, like if you say, hey, I run a 7-figure SaaS business, people will want to learn and listen. If you say, I just started yesterday building my business, that's a different crowd. You can still attract a lot of people to it. You can say, hey, I saw this gap in the market, started my business yesterday, or started building today. That's also a process. That's also a story people want to follow. So don't think that I might be a founder that's been in the business now for 5 years, made millions, that your story isn't interesting. It's probably my story is less interesting than some new guy or girl on the block that's creating something new. Don't forget your imposter syndrome, shove it out the door, because you do have interesting stories to share. The interesting thing about Hypefury is that normally you would create a piece of content, copy some text there, and then you would also copy the text to LinkedIn. We do it a little bit differently. We actually create a carousel for you where you just post the content that can go out to X, but it actually creates a carousel for you for LinkedIn or Instagram. And then on Threads, it'll be a normal thread again. So that's a really simple way to, from like one medium, like to go from text to image with a simple click. And that's, I think, a way to avoid a lot of expensive agencies that can help you out there. And with minimum work and minimum investment, you can be on. Yeah. So video strategy, like if you're starting, don't start with talking heavy. Like I've tried this. It's really hard. Like I'm not native American, native English. So people that are native, when they hear my accent, they immediately skip it because they think, what kind of weirdo is this? It's really hard to nail, even if you're a native, even if you really have it nailed. I would really start with like B-rolls. Literally today, I asked somebody to create nearly 20 B-rolls, and B-roll is basically you have your camera pointed, for example, at your laptop, you're opening the screen or you're opening an app. So there's no real person in there, or you might see like part of a person there. And there's an example here. This is a B-roll. That's just something is happening on the screen, but you're not talking. And so literally on Upwork, we just hired somebody today who will make 18 of these videos, and it's only going to cost us a few $100s, and we can just rinse and repeat. And the nice thing is we can use this B-roll as an example, but just use a different text every time and just rinse and repeat, see what works, what hook works versus what B-roll. And we can, with 18 of those, we can really experiment a lot. So with minimum investment, you can do quite a bit, and these types of videos work better than the talking head videos. But yeah, basically what I just said. Create those B-rolls, record yourself. I think there are a lot of examples already on X. And if you don't even want to go that far, you can also go to Pexels and download and just reuse ones that have already been used. Try those. Yeah, we can make your life a little bit easier. I'm not going to talk too much about Hypefury. Mostly what's interesting for you is like, how can I get people to download my stuff? In the end, what my talk is all about is, hey, create content that suits the platform you're on. But the thing is, and that's why I love beehiiv, you need to have your own little database of people. Why? Because if something changes, if there's an algo changes and you don't get the impressions you did, if you don't get the reach you did, you still need to have an owned database of people you can still reach. And email is actually one of the few things that is fantastic to sell people. And what are good like ways to get people to your usually newsletter? And here we have a couple of examples. I think everybody has read them by now. So yeah, every platform has a little bit more nuanced way of getting people to do what you want them to do. Yeah, maybe I think lead forms speaks for itself, comments, auto plugs. Basically, when a tweet does well, when a post does well on Twitter, if it gets 10 likes, for example, you could auto plug like your newsletter saying, hey, if you like this post, you can also join my newsletter. I talk about much more of this stuff. And on LinkedIn, it's basically commenting with a word, for example, growth. They need to follow you. Then you can start a conversation there, get them to download the thing you're talking about and get them on your email list. So what should you do today? Like I spoke about in the beginning, choose your platforms. And really, I think a lot of people make that choice too fast. They think TikTok's hot right now, let's go TikTok. But if you don't like to do video, then you're just going to burn out. So choose a platform that really suits you, that gives you energy. Look into your bio, gave you some pointers there. Look back at the deck and look how Shreya did that. Sign up, of course, and use a prompt and like really just get started. And the nice thing about at least starting like a new social platform, I know many of you already have a presence there, but you could start on a new platform if you want. And there's nobody there in the beginning anyway. So you can just get started, see what works, and then slowly as you find out what works, you'll also see that, hey, more and more people will follow you. And it's just an easier way to get into things, because a lot of people have imposter syndrome. They think, hey, if I talk about this, is this good enough? Don't worry, man. At the beginning, nobody's going to see it anyway. Just get started and get that content out there. Yeah. Questions. If you want to download that prompt, you can go to hypefury.com/creator-growth summit.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is super, super valuable. I know we have a bunch of questions that you could drop it in the chat. I just want to start off and ask a question, if you don't mind.
Sure.
I remember one of the biggest things that I was using Hypefury for, and I think I'm going to start again, is not on the content creation piece, but on the engagement piece, right? On going in and engaging with people. Maybe you could touch a little bit on that, like the importance of that, or if that's not as important, and the strategies there.
Yeah, that's a great question, Alec. So it is still important, and you can do it through Hypefury. Basically, if you don't have a lot of followers, you should still engage a lot with other people. What I mean with that is, literally, it's a social platform, and only really on TikTok, a little bit on X, there's like a discoverability algo. If you post something fantastic, you'll get reach no matter what. But on a lot of platforms, if you don't have any connections with anybody, you can post the best content out there, but you just won't get any reach. So you need to find people, colleagues, friends, family, start with that, or people you look up to, and start by, I'll use the Twitter example, but you can create lists on Twitter saying, hey, these are people I really want to talk to every day. So you create a list, you go to that list every day, you look at what new content, and then comment. Be just a bro, so to speak. Like if you would meet your friend in a bar, how would you speak to him or her? And speak the same way on your social feed. And that's a great way to get more discoverability, because if you start with 0 followers, you won't have any reach if you don't start a good conversation with other people.
I love that. And in terms of finding those people to engage with, you said you would start with your inner circle and then branch out from there.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot more specifics. We can go a lot deeper there, but mostly, like, funny enough, there's like, if I have 500 followers and I talk to somebody who has 10,000 followers, there's something like, oh, there's no real match there. So if you have 500 followers, try to find other people within the same range, because it's just a better match. And why you would talk to somebody with 10 or 100,000 followers is not for that person behind those 100,000 followers. It's for those followers. So you would actually comment valuable info on a post. Why? Not to reach the guy or girl that has 100K followers, but to reach their followers. That's why you want to comment, because you won't get any answer back probably from them, but a lot of their followers will see what you're commenting.
For sure. That's a great point. I think one of the things that a lot of people were curious about, also for our last speaker, is around cadence, right? Like, how often should people be posting on these platforms? Let's say someone picks 2 platforms. Let's say they pick X and LinkedIn. If they want to do a lot of written content, how often should you be going in and posting?
Yeah, so I think on Twitter a little bit more. On X, I would say between 1 and 3 times per day. On LinkedIn, you can go slower, but I would say minimum like 3 times a week.
Got it. Awesome. And maybe we'll just hit on a few questions from the audience here. I see one question from David, and he says, for someone that has, I can show it on the screen actually, for someone that has a huge Twitter/X following, what would be the way that Hypefury could help on a newer social platform like TikTok?
Yeah. Basically repurposing. So we can look back at all your content and just use that to get you started on TikTok. You can just select your old content and have it out there within seconds with minimal work. So that's probably the shortest and best way I can answer that question. Should I still post videos if I don't have a good camera? I can only record with my old Android phone for now. I would say look back at Mr. Beast's first video, or there are many people out there, like their first videos, they were horrible if you compare it to today. And they only got better because they just started doing. So I would definitely start shooting video with your old Android and just get started. Definitely.
I love that. Also, a few people are asking for that link that you shared. I'm just going to throw it up here on the screen so people can go ahead and take that. It's in the chat. I'll repost it in the chat as well. And if anyone has any more questions, feel free to throw it in here. This is super valuable. And I really like the part about picking, because I think a lot of times people just overwhelm themselves. They try to take on everything at once. And that's what we say also for starting a newsletter. You have to pick a cadence that you're going to be sticking to, and not to go too overboard with that. I definitely love that. I'm just going through and seeing. By the way, when you mentioned the thing about the accent, everyone was like, everyone loves your accent. Everyone was like, no, what do you mean? I'd watch videos of you all day. Like real entrepreneurs don't care about accent.
That's just my imposter syndrome then, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly. I guess so. But awesome. I think, I don't know, TG, any points you want to jump in with?
No, I think you did well. Thanks, Yannick. Covered everything. I was looking through as well. I think you covered pretty much all the questions. There was one question Saeed asked, is there anything like a mini chat for X? I know that was a question previously.
Yeah, you can use Hypefury for auto DMs.
That's what I figured, yeah.
Yeah, and we're working on integration for Instagram, but yeah.
Cool. I'm also curious about one other thing. That's LinkedIn. I know LinkedIn is like very protective over like, and they don't have like an API, and like I try using a lot of these tools for LinkedIn and I get a message that I might be banned, and that scares me. So I'm just curious about like how Hypefury deals with that and any tips around that.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is notorious. So what they don't like is Chrome extensions that scrape data. You have like Shield and you have a couple of others that really can harm you. Basically, what we do is just use their API and schedule content for you and do maybe a few automated tasks that are all within the books. So as long as you stay like with that and don't use AI generated comments, for example, because all the big platforms, they're gonna do something with AI. And what they want to use their proprietary system to maybe generate comments or do something with it. So what they don't want is other platforms that do something with AI, because that can hurt their business in the long term. So that's also something I've seen, and I expect LinkedIn to hammer on as well. But mostly it's Chrome extensions that can really kill your account. Yeah. Others like real third-party apps like Hypefury, they can't really do a lot wrong there.
Got it. That's valuable. Yeah. The last thing that I'm curious on, and I think it's a fun game that I play all the time now, is I'll go to LinkedIn, I'll go to X, and I'm like, okay, which posts were written by ChatGPT and which posts were written by human beings? And I'm just curious, like, this could be a whole other webinar, obviously, but maybe just like your tips on like how you use like AI in your writing process, which LLMs you might be focused on, and how to stand out in a world where there's just so much AI garbage out there.
Yeah, personally, I hardly use any LLMs. Literally hardly. It might be because I have an interesting life, but usually I can just create content. And this is also, I've been in the content creation business for, I don't know, I'd say 17 years or something. So This is not for everybody. And this definitely took a few reps to get going. Yeah. And I think what I mentioned about the prompt you could use, we will share, is it's a very good baseline, like much better than a lot of things out there. But it's really important to put your own thing into it. Like people might come for come for your content, but they stay for your personality. And if you just do robot talks, then humans won't stay to listen to robots. They'll just move on to the next robot that has something interesting to say, and then they'll move on again. So definitely put on some personality, otherwise people will just leave again.
I love that. One thing that I started doing actually on LinkedIn, which is, it seems like such a random and weird thing, but I started like specifically writing a lot in lowercase and not capitalizing. And even just that, it makes the actual content come off so much more casual and not robotic. It's just like a little thing that I've been doing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, there are a lot of small things like that. But yeah, this was super valuable. I know for me and for everyone joining here. We posted that link again. I'll show it again on the stream so people could go in, get all those prompts. I know I'm going to be using all those prompts and using Hypefury, which is definitely an amazing tool. And the last thing I would say is, where can people find you, connect with you, maybe ask any follow-up? Maybe you could plug.
Yeah, mostly on Twitter. I'll post it here in the comments, because my name it's a French and Belgium name. So I'll just put it in the comments, and then people can find me on X.
Awesome. Perfect. So that is in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much, Yannick. It was super valuable. And yeah, it's great having you on.
You're welcome.
Thank you,
I had a lot of fun. Thanks for organizing this.